Hi, it's Dr. Z. Welcome to week 2 of Psych 266. This week, we will be reviewing the history of psychological disorders, current perspectives and models of abnormal behavior, and the research methods used to study psychological disorders. Let's get started with this week's overview. By the end of this week, you'll be able to complete these district course competencies and learning objectives. For this week, please watch the overview video. As an alternative, the transcript of the video is available here. To help you stay on track, check out this week's activity checklist by either downloading the checklist here or reviewing the checklist in the table below. This chapter is separated into 4 sections. The first section is the history of abnormal behavior. Students are surprised to learn that psychological disorders have a long history, going back to ancient times. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and watch the assigned videos. Now, I do want to point out this box titled, for the exam, Be Able To. This box lists specific learning objectives that I want you to know for this section of the textbook. I recommend taking notes and making sure that you understand how and the answers to these objectives. Additionally, any concepts here in bold are considered important to know for the exam. The second section this week is the biological model. This section reviews key aspects of the nervous system that may play a role in psychological disorders. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and watch the assigned videos. The third section this week is current perspectives. The field of psychological disorders continued to develop and expand beyond the biological model discussed in the previous section. We have 7 current perspectives or models to understand abnormal behavior. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and complete the corresponding Nearpod lesson. The last section for this week is research methods. The field of psychological disorders uses the scientific method and a variety of research methods to understand abnormal behavior. Please read the designated pages in the textbook and complete the corresponding Nearpod lesson. Now, one important note that I want to share. The videos posted on Canvas are all helpful at understanding the concepts after you read the textbook. Please do not rely solely on the videos for your learning. I encourage you to read the textbook first, complete the Nearpod lesson, and then watch the videos to strengthen your learning. Each week, you will have an activity that expands on a topic or section of the chapter. This activity is often tied to the weekly discussion board or to the application paper. This week's activity is called Studying Nelson McGrath. I want you to think like a psychologist and apply the different levels of research method to the case of Nelson McGrath in our textbook. You will complete this handout on your own by writing down the answers on the space provided on the handout. This activity will prepare you for application paper number 1. Additionally, you will see this prep question box here. I've provided some thought-provoking questions to reflect on after you've completed the activity handout. These reflection questions will prepare you also for application paper number 1. The answers to these questions are for yourself only, and they will help you to start thinking like a psychologist. So, let's go to the assignments for this week. The first assignment is the Nearpod lesson. In an online course, I will use Nearpod lessons to provide instruction on topics that I normally would have done in person. Please note this important heading. Nearpod lessons are due on Wednesdays at 11:59 p.m. and need to be completed before the weekly discussion board. Now, I want to make a note here of the minimum time needed to complete this lesson. This minimum time does not take into account the time you will need to take notes, complete short answer questions, engage in lesson activities, and complete the summary quiz. The second assignment is discussion board number 1 on current perspectives. This discussion board ties back to the section on biological model and current perspectives. Each student will be assigned to one of the 7 perspectives or models of abnormal behavior. Please see this table here below. Your job is to create a fictional scenario from the point of view of your assigned approach that explains Pat's current situation. For example, if you be maybe randomly assigned to the biological model, your Pat story will reflect key features of the biological perspective, such as neurochemicals, the nervous system, and/or behavioral genetics. Please check out this helpful hints box for suggestions on this assignment. The third assignment is the chapter quiz. You will have unlimited time to take the quiz, but you will only have one attempt. You will be required to use only Respondus Lockdown Browser for this quiz. Make sure to know that you will not be able to use any notes on this quiz. Now, I know you could choose to cheat on these weekly quizzes. However, you would be harming yourself because these quizzes really prepare you for the exams in this course. And finally, the last assignment for this week is application paper number 1. Application papers will always consist of 4 questions. The first 3 questions tie back to the sections of the chapter and/or the weekly activity. For instance, question 1 ties back to the section of history and abnormal behavior. Question 2 ties back to the biological model and current perspectives. And question 3 ties back to the research methods and the activity studying Nelson McGrath. Now, your last question will always be your wow moment for this week. I want you to reflect on what you learned online and in the textbook this week. This is one of my favorite questions to grade because each student shares their unique take on learning about psychological disorders. It is important to note that each question requires that you provide a personal example and either a textbook or video reference to support your answer. Please remember to use APA citation for both textbook and/or video references. And with that, you'll have successfully completed this week's module. I look forward to reviewing your awesome assignments this week.